Everything just exploded in the wrestling universe and the shockwaves are hitting harder than anyone anticipated. Naomi just dropped a bombshell that has the entire industry buzzing, and what she revealed is going to change the game completely. The WYATT are moving in the shadows with plans so devastating that nobody wants to imagine what happens when they finally execute their vision. Liv Morgan is caught in a storm that's growing bigger by the second and her world might be about to collapse. Hit that subscribe button right now because what's unfolding is unlike anything we've witnessed before. Naomi stood in front of cameras and let everything out. No scripts, no management breathing down her neck, just pure unfiltered truth pouring out from someone who's been holding it in for too long. She talked about being pushed aside, being overlooked, being treated like she didn't matter when she knew deep down that she had more to offer than anyone was willing to acknowledge. The words came fast and they came sharp. She wasn't asking for permission anymore. She wasn't waiting for someone to give her an opportunity. She was taking what belonged to her, and anyone standing in the way better move fast. She called out specific people by name, names that made everyone watching lean forward because they knew drama was about to erupt. She pointed fingers at those who claimed to be her friends but disappeared when things got tough. She exposed the fake smiles and the backstage whispers that she'd been hearing for months. The gloves came off completely and Naomi made it clear she's done playing nice. She's done being the good soldier who nods and smiles while others get pushed ahead. Her time is now and she's ready to burn bridges if that's what it takes to reach the top. The reaction backstage was instant chaos. People started scrambling because Naomi just declared open season and nobody knows who she's coming for first. Locker rooms erupted in heated conversations. Some wrestlers were angry that she aired everything publicly. Others were secretly cheering because someone finally said what they'd been thinking. Management went into crisis mode trying to figure out how to contain the situation, but the truth is you can't put this fire out. Naomi lit the match and now everyone has to deal with the flames. Her announcement touched on things that fans have been screaming about for years. She mentioned being held back despite delivering incredible performances night after night. She talked about watching others get opportunities handed to them while she had to fight tooth and nail for every second of screen time. The frustration was real. The anger was justified. And now that she's let it all out, there's no turning back. She's positioned herself as the hunter rather than the hunted, and that shift in mentality makes her more dangerous than ever. What Naomi wants is crystal clear. She wants championship gold and she wants it wrapped around her waist sooner rather than later. She's not interested in working her way up slowly through a series of meaningless matches. She wants the top prize and she wants it now. That kind of aggressive approach is either going to catapult her straight to the main event or it's going to create enemies faster than she can handle them. Either way, the journey is going to be must-see content from start to finish. While Naomi is shaking up one part of the wrestling world, the WYATT are preparing to unleash hell on another front. These individuals don't operate like normal wrestlers. They exist in a space between reality and nightmare. Their methods are unconventional, their motives are unclear, and their targets are unpredictable. What is known is that they've been planning something massive and the pieces are finally falling into place for them to execute whatever twisted vision they've concocted. The signs have been appearing for weeks now. Strange symbols showing up in unexpected places. Cryptic messages being left in locker rooms. Wrestlers reporting unsettling encounters that they can't quite explain. At first, people dismissed it as mind games or attempts to create buzz. But as the occurrences increased in frequency and intensity, the realization set in that something real was building. The WYATT weren't just talking. They were preparing for war and the entire roster was about to become collateral damage. Inside sources have been whispering about the scale of what's coming. This isn't going to be a simple ambush after a match. This isn't going to be one person getting jumped in a parking lot. What the WYATT are planning involves multiple targets, multiple locations, and a level of coordination that suggests they've been studying everyone's movements for months. They know schedules. They know travel patterns. They know when people are vulnerable. And they're going to exploit every single weakness when the moment arrives. The paranoia spreading through the locker room is unlike anything veterans have seen before. Wrestlers who've been in the business for decades are admitting they're looking over their shoulders constantly. Trust has evaporated. People who used to travel together are now keeping their distance because nobody wants to be standing next to a target when the attack comes. Some wrestlers have even changed their routines completely, taking different routes to the arena, arriving at different times, anything to avoid being predictable. What makes the WYATT so terrifying is their commitment to the chaos they create. They don't care about wins and losses in the traditional sense. They care about making statements that echo through the industry long after the initial shock fades. When they attack someone, it's not just about physical damage. It's about psychological destruction. It's about making their victims question everything they thought they knew about themselves and their place in the wrestling world. Recovery from a WYATT assault isn't measured in weeks or months. It's measured in whether the person ever truly comes back at all. Speculation about their targets has reached fever pitch. Some believe they're going after the biggest names to establish dominance immediately. Others think they'll target rising stars to prevent future competition. A darker theory suggests they might go after authority figures to create absolute chaos with no one in charge to restore order. Every theory makes sense, and that's the problem. The WYATT have positioned themselves so perfectly that literally anyone could be next, and it would make complete sense within their twisted logic. Now add Liv Morgan into this explosive mix and you've got a powder keg ready to detonate. She's been holding championship gold and defending it successfully against challenger after challenger. Her reign has been defined by grit, determination, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to keep her title. But the pressure is mounting from every direction and the cracks might be starting to show. She's fighting battles on multiple fronts, and even the strongest champions can only withstand so much before something gives. Liv has enemies lining up around the block wanting their shot at her. Former allies who feel betrayed are circling like sharks smelling blood. New contenders are emerging weekly, each one hungrier than the last. And now with Naomi making her explosive return and setting her sights on championship gold, Liv has to add another serious threat to her already overwhelming list of problems. The championship that once felt like validation now feels like a weight dragging her down into deeper waters. Her demeanor has shifted noticeably in recent weeks. The confidence is still there, but it's mixed with something else now. Desperation, maybe. A realization that her grip on the title is becoming more tenuous by the day. She's snapping at interviewers. She's getting into confrontations with people who aren't even scheduled to face her. The stress is manifesting in ways that suggest the pressure cooker is about to explode, and when it does, the fallout is going to be spectacular. The potential showdown between Naomi and Liv Morgan has fans salivating. These two women have unfinished business that dates back years. They've circled each other before, but never when the stakes were this high. Now with Naomi coming back on fire and Liv desperately trying to hold onto her championship, a collision course seems inevitable. When they finally lock up in the ring, it's going to be more than just a match. It's going to be a war where both women leave pieces of themselves behind in pursuit of victory. But before that can happen, everyone has to survive whatever the WYATT have planned. The timeline for their attack remains unknown, but all indicators suggest it's coming soon. Very soon. Production crews are on high alert. Security has been tripled at all events. Wrestlers are being advised to stay in groups and never wander off alone. The atmosphere at shows has changed completely. What used to be excitement and anticipation is now tinged with genuine fear because nobody knows when or where the hammer is going to drop. Some wrestlers are trying to form alliances for protection. They figure there's safety in numbers, and if the WYATT come calling, at least they won't be alone. But others are isolating themselves, believing that groups just create bigger targets. Both strategies make sense. Both could be completely wrong. The WYATT have proven time and again that conventional wisdom doesn't apply to them. They operate outside the rules that govern normal wrestling interactions, and that makes defending against them nearly impossible. Naomi's return adds another layer of unpredictability to an already chaotic situation. She's not coming back to make friends or slowly rebuild her career. She's coming back to take what she wants by force if necessary. That aggressive approach is going to create conflicts immediately. People who thought they were safe in their positions are going to find themselves in Naomi's crosshairs. The established hierarchy is about to be challenged, and some big names are going to fall as Naomi climbs back up the ladder. The women's division is bracing for impact. Championship matches that were already scheduled are now in question because nobody knows if Naomi is going to insert herself into those situations. Contenders who had clear paths to title shots are now worried about being leapfrogged. Feuds that were building slowly are being forced to accelerate because everyone knows time is running out before Naomi reaches the main event scene. The entire division is being forced to adapt on the fly to this new reality. Liv Morgan is watching all of this unfold, and she has to be feeling the walls closing in. Naomi's announcement essentially put a target on Liv's championship. The WYATT are creating an environment where chaos could erupt at any moment, potentially during one of Liv's title defenses. Other contenders are getting more aggressive because they know the window to capture gold might be closing rapidly. Liv is facing a perfect storm of challenges, and surviving it is going to require every ounce of skill, luck, and ruthlessness she can muster. The business side of wrestling is loving every second of this drama. Ratings are climbing. Social media engagement is through the roof. Fans are debating non-stop about what's going to happen next. The uncertainty is driving interest to levels that haven't been seen in years. When people don't know what's coming, they tune in live because they don't want to miss the moment when everything explodes. That's exactly what's happening now, and it's benefiting everyone involved, even as the characters they portray are suffering through absolute chaos. What happens in the next few weeks could define careers. Naomi could rocket back to the main event or flame out spectacularly if she can't back up her bold words with action. The WYATT could cement themselves as the most dominant force in wrestling, or their big attack could fall flat if they've overpromised and underdelivered. Liv Morgan could prove she's a fighting champion who can weather any storm, or she could lose everything and have to rebuild from scratch. Every decision matters. Every match carries weight. Every moment could be the one that changes everything. The unpredictability is the key element that makes this moment special. Scripts exist, but they're being rewritten constantly based on reactions and opportunities that arise. Nothing feels set in stone. Anyone could betray anyone at any moment if it serves their interests. Alliances formed today could crumble tomorrow. Champions could fall. Legends could be made. The wrestling world is in flux, and that chaos is creating the kind of must-see television that fans crave. Backstage tensions continue to escalate daily. Arguments break out over the smallest perceived slights because everyone is on edge. Management is trying to maintain some semblance of control, but when you have someone like NAOMI going rogue with public announcements and the WYATT operating completely outside normal parameters, control becomes an illusion. The inmates are running the asylum, and that's when the most compelling stories get told, because real emotion and real stakes drive everything forward. Fans who've been watching for years are recognizing that this is a special period. The combination of returning stars, emerging threats, and champions fighting to maintain their positions creates a perfect recipe for incredible storytelling. New fans jumping in right now are getting hooked immediately because the energy is undeniable. You don't need years of backstory to understand that something huge is building, and you don't want to miss what happens when it all comes crashing together. The stage is set for explosions across multiple fronts. NAOMI is ready to burn the entire division down to get what she wants. The WYATT are preparing to unleash an attack that could change the landscape permanently. Liv Morgan is fighting desperately to keep her championship and her position at the top. Everyone else is trying to survive the chaos and maybe capitalize on opportunities that arise when the dust settles. This is professional wrestling at its absolute finest, when nothing is predictable and everything matters. Make sure you subscribe, because what's coming next is going to be absolutely insane, and you